going to start this book. Lucy Foley, The Midnight Feast. So what I'll do is I'll read it and then we can see what we think as we go through. I'm really excited. I love this type of murder mystery book. So yeah, let's get into it. So I'm now about 100 pages into this book, The Midnight Feast, and it's set in Dorset. It's like the Dorset coastline. There's a manor house, and this woman Francesca's bought the property and has done it up, and she's made it. To be fair, it sounds lovely. It's like a luxury thing. They've got a pool, and she's put like crystals in the property, and they've got these buildings called the Hutchings. I think it's called the Hutchings, and they're making the tree houses, and they've basically got an opening night that falls the day of the winter solstice. And obviously somebody's going to die, something's going to happen. But yeah, so the main characters we've got at the minute is Francesca. She owns the property and she seems quite an unlikable character at the minute. So I think, you know, we're not meant to like her, even though, to be fair, the crystals in the property, that sounds lovely. And they do like, it's all about the ambience and vibe. It does sound really nice, actually. But so she's bought the property. The first introduction to it, they have these sort of walkers ramblers who want to go. There used to be a path through the land that they could walk on, but she's rerouted the path or something so that the locals can't use the path. So they're obviously unhappy about that. So that's kind of the thing she's done. I don't know if she's also as well going to be stealing some of the farmland from the local farm. It seemed like something like that was going to go, and mentioned about taking trees down. Now, I don't know if taking the trees down is just because they're going to be building these tree houses in the tree lines. A few people have also mentioned about like, oh, careful going into the woods. So I don't know if there's like local legend type thing with the woods, or if it's to put people off. We're not sure. So you've got Francesca. You've then got her husband, who is called Owen. He's an architect. So he's done all of the design on the manor, all of the extensions on the manor. He seems to quite love Francesca, although he does say things like, oh, she's in the bedroom, she's quite violent and aggressive and she's all calm and things. He speaks highly of her, but it seems a little bit uncertain. He's meant to be an architect. He also, as well, when they met, he said that I was called by her management or something regarding the job to put a pitch in, and she was like, I don't have a management, so I don't know if somebody's put them in contact with each other or something. That seems a bit suspicious. She also comments, she says, oh, his hands are quite rough for an architect, so I'm not sure of what's going on. And he also then, like a little bit later in the book, mentions that something he's like walking around and he says about how much he feels like a fraud. So whether or not he's a true architect and he's not a true architect, or why, but somebody's obviously tipped him off, like, you need to go in for this project or something. And then he said like, oh, who did I love more, the project or Francesca? So it all seems a bit like then we've also got this character called Michelle. She's a local who's like front of house at the manor. She's really quick to try and please Francesca, just with the general running of the house. Apparently she went to elocution lessons to help because she's got a thick Dorset accent. But the husband doesn't seem to like her at all for whatever reason. And she's had a couple of weird moments with him. She caught him with a bottle of wine and then was a little bit like odd about it. When it's like, it is his house, surely he can drink. What's the issue? And then he's now just found this dead, I think it was like a chicken that's been pinned up against the wall with a note on it. He's put the note in her pocket, and then she's turned up, so we're not sure what that is. Then there's a boy called Eddie. So Eddie works as like odd jobs around the manor. He's a local. His father owns the farm over where there might be issues anyway, like with everyone just doesn't seem, all of the locals don't seem to like this manor and like this new money coming in and taking over and everything. So his dad apparently hates them, but he's working there. I think he's like 17, doing odd jobs. He wants to be doing the bartending for it. And he then nearly gets seduced by one of this guests, Bella, who I'll explain in a minute. But in the end, he doesn't anyway. And his mum then catches him there, working there, and she's also working there as a cleaner. So they both work there. Their father as well, like the night before he was missing for hours, they were like, oh, where has he gone? So I don't know if he was like, they kind of made it like he was out drinking, but I'm guessing because there's going to be a body found, which we found already, which I'll get to in a second. Like, did he do it? Is it one of the locals that is doing it, or who's doing it? So we're not sure, but he seems to be off. And so he was making this drink, and then he went down to the beach because there were some of the locals on the there's a little private beach bit. Michelle, who runs front of house, said to him, oh, you need to go and tell the locals to be gone and everything, even though he's like 17 or whatever. So he went down, and they're like the local kids there, some of them his age. He's like, obviously leave, they're not going to pay any attention to him. But his ex-girlfriend was there, Delilah, I think her name was. And then it kind of mentions that Eddie and Delilah were the ones at the start of the book. They find a body in this house. It's literally just referenced that this body is found in a house of this old man, I think, who was potentially writing or something. And there was something to do with a feather. And it's then referenced that Delilah and Eddie had found that body because she had a feather or something. And Francesca, when she went up a little bit earlier, she went into her room, her and Owen's room. There's a feather on the bed. So it's like, oh, is this all going to link together? Is that man something to do with it in this one? So we don't know, but the kids didn't leave the beach anyway. And then there was a bit of hoo-ha about something, but I'm not really sure if that's got any reference on it. And then I think after the solstice, so there's the opening night, solstice night, and then there's some fishermen who are fishing past, and I think there's smoke at the manor, so it looks like the manor has been set alight, and there's a body, I think, down on the beach. But this is all like jumping back and forth. And then Bella, I think, is the last like main character we've seen. She seems like, I think she's like 30s or so. I don't know if she knows Francesca. She's like, something seems suspicious about her. Eddie, when he was in her place, you didn't really need to know, but she kind of like semi-seduced him. Found loads of what they called paper cuttings about Francesca and the manor and the works they were doing. So it seems like she's going to investigate. And then Eddie also saw her like sneaking around trying to go into the private quarters of where Francesca lives. So I'm guessing we're going to find out. She also mentions as well, I can't remember if it was like something bad had happened, but again, we don't know. And then the latest was she went down to the beach, the private beach area, and like crawled along this bit and then managed to find this, like, I don't know if it was a journal she found or something. Might have been one of her old journals, so of like when she was there before. So I guess she's going to have something to do with it. Obviously Owen seems, the architect husband, seems like, is he a fraud? Is he covering up? He's also saying about how he hates people being in the manor. Obviously he knows that they did that because of it. They opened it for people to come there, but he's like over it. All of the locals are like, as a whole, seem to dislike the manor. Eddie's dad also was the one that went out drunk, so it's like, what's going on? We don't actually know who the body is yet. This is 100 pages in, so I think it's 400 pages and something, so I'll try and do an update every 100 pages. But yeah, so far so good. Interesting. I love when they do like a character that's straight off the bat you can just dislike. So yeah, we'll see what else was there. I think that was it for the main bit. So yes, let's see. We're now at the 200 page mark on Midnight Feast, Lucy Foley. So what we've sort of had the last 100 pages mainly been trips back in time. So finding out Bella, who's kind of like the main character, how she actually knew the people who owned the property, Francesca, and even Owen, her husband, was someone who was also like part of the village kids. So everyone kind of knows each other. So it's all going to be obviously who done it and
who killed. Well, we know that there's a body, but we don't know yet who's dead. So we know that Bella was involved. We also think there was a girl who, I think it was Michelle, who works as like the front of house. She was also part of the local kids. She used to work in the fish and chip shop. And when Francesca, Bella, Hugo, who's the brother of Francesca, who used to be at the property, they all went into this wood things to do the whole midnight feast thing. It seemed like in the treehouse that was there, potentially the Michelle girl got sexually assaulted is the vibe, because Hugo then tries to sexually assault Bella when she's younger in the pool house. So, you know, it's like a lot of reasons why people would like to do things. Owen seemed like he was called Shrimp as a kid, so kind of a bit like bullied. Seems like he had a weird upbringing. Michelle's now just basically said that she knows who he is, that he was Shrimp. So it's like uncovering it all. And I'm pretty sure this was the last 100 pages. There's a bird that's pinned to the wall and there's like blood on it and a note. The note was to Francesca saying, this is in like present day time, meet me in the woods at 12. Owen finds out her husband and actually does give it to her. He's now got tracking on her phone and it looks like she's now going into the woods to meet, we think now, Bella, because literally just in the last however many pages, Bella says, I can't believe I'm actually meeting with her after all this time, because they've made eye contact a few times, but they've not said anything to each other, and it didn't seem like they've overly recognised each other. Obviously Bella recognises Francesca because she's there. But yeah, so they've been doing all of that. There's also a lot more touching upon like the locals, the superstitions with these birds and what's happening. And when they, as kids, went into the forest and did this whole midnight feast thing, it seemed like they'd take drugs or something. I don't know what the first one was. And then they were looking for mushrooms. And then it was like the teddy bear's picnic was playing. So it's all quite eerie. We don't fully know what they were doing in there. And now there's a younger girl going when they were younger, called Cora. She's older than they were at the time, but she's like involved. I don't know if she'll pop up. And then you've got in the present day, there's also now some coppers we've been introduced to who are like on the scene, and they've said, oh, well, there's a body they found, but we don't overly know too much. It's mainly been delving into like what happened in the past, who knew who, sort of the setup. And then Eddie, so Eddie's the one who works present day as like, I think he does like odd jobs or whatever, but he wants to be a barman. Like you've seen him a few times, and there was been one of the guests had found loads of blood in the woods, and Francesca told Eddie and one of the gardeners to go and like hose it down to get rid of it. Basically, she was making out like it was like a bird being killed or something like that, an animal being killed, but it seems like it's getting to her now because she's quite like jittery and jumpy and things like that. And there's someone who does Reiki at the manor, and she went for an appointment, and the woman did this like thing with an egg, and it was saying like sending a message like someone's out to get you or something. So that's all kind of going on. We don't overly know. All we've got really now is more people that it could be involved with, who could understand it. I don't know if Owen's now going to follow Francesca into the woods, and if we're going to find out about that. Hugo's there, Francesca's brother is at the manor at the minute. And there were some local kids that were throwing stones or something at all of the guests that were around the pool from like the beach up onto the hill, throwing stones and everything. So it's just showing, I guess, like the relationship between the locals and the people of the manor. So, and the man that died in that building right at the start that we see, he was like writing or whatever, it was Francesca and Hugo's grandfather. I think he was a grandfather, and he was writing in there, and apparently it was him that died. It said that it was just a heart attack, but whether or not that was it, or there's more to it, because there was the feather, which they said the bird. So we're all gonna find out.
Okay, we are now at page 300 of the book. So we still don't know who's dead, first of all. And I feel like it's a woman, and I don't know why I think it's a woman. I don't know if they said she or something. So my two bets is it's either going to be Bella or Francesca. And I think they said something about there was a fire at the building, and a few people were trapped in the cellar, which is where I think, I don't know if this is new for this 100 page, Michelle, who's the front of house, and Owen, who's the husband slash architect, were, Francesca saw them on the cameras having an affair, sex. They just randomly started having sex, which was odd. They both knew each other from before when they were kids, and it seems like everyone does. Also, Eddie, who's the bartender, the young boy, who Bella sort of like got off with initially, his brother was the guy that Bella was kind of seeing back in the day. I can't remember his name. It's Jake, seeing back when they were kids. So it seems like the impression is, I think, that Jake died back then, because Eddie said about the accident. There was also digging going on by the tree houses, and it seemed like Bella managed to get the diggers to like dig in this specific location where the body was buried, and a body is uncovered, and it looks like Owen then covers up, it's a skeleton or whatever, covers up the body and takes it out. Francesca at the minute doesn't know about that body, and so I think that's going to be Jake's body that's found. Ivor, the missing cow, seems like it was slaughtered. I think at the end of the last one, we knew that there was like loads of blood in the wood or something, and we don't know why that was. I think that we've now found out that that was Ivor, the cow that was missing. And it seems like there's loads of the bird people or whatever, that like the local legend they reference to. It seems like it could almost be like, if anyone's watched like Hot Fuzz, you know, when it's like the whole community, so the whole community takes policing into their own hands, and that they've killed him. I don't know if it's like a sacrifice or what, because Bella and Eddie end up getting lost in the wood, long story, and they find each other, and then they see that all of the bird people, because they've all got the costumes on, are there, and they realise that I think that he's holding up the head of Ivor the bull, and then they kind of peg it. And Eddie, I'm pretty sure at his family home then finds a costume or something. So is it a case of this is a whole community set up? There was also then another note or something put there, and but loads of like bird seed, modern day time, loads of bird seed had been scattered, and loads of birds were coming to like eat all of the bird seed and disrupt the party. So we still don't know who's dead. It seems like Jake back in the day was dead. It seems like everyone's knew everyone before when they were kids and playing, which I didn't understand, because I think like you would still recognise them even they're older, you can recognise them. So I that's like kind of a bit of a weakness in the story. What else has happened? I think that's mainly it. But yeah, we don't know who's dead. We don't really know why. The jumping back, so when they go back as Bella, it's like Bella's diary, and they jump back in time. It seems like Francesca admits that loads of the bird pranks and all of that, she did that. She was like orchestrated it all, as well as other things. Hello, Arthur. Okay, can I just finish this first?
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, she orchestrated it all, and Cora, the girl that was hanging out with them, she was then maybe kissing the granddad who then dies. Kisses. Yeah, there's had a haircut. So that's where we kind of are, but we still don't know who's dead, which is a bit of a shame, because I do like when I'm watching it to think like who done it, but we can't really find out who done it if we don't know who did it. So yeah, I'll do another update, won't we? Maybe at the next one. I think it's up to like 400 pages, so maybe I'll do them a bit more soon. Sorry, there's a shaky camera and with thing. So anyway, let me know what you think, if there's anything I've missed that I've not picked up on. So I have finally finished it.
I think it's like 420 or so pages. So obviously this will have spoilers in it. Yeah, so the person who actually ended up dying was Francesca. There was just a lot to it. The body that was found that was dug up by the digger, it was in blue tarpaulin, which I thought was Jake who had gone missing. Actually turned out to be Cora, who was Owen, the husband's slash architect's mum. She'd obviously had a kid or whatever. She was the one that had been killed. And then the grandfather covered it up. So it was partly because the mushrooms that were picked were made into weed cookies, even though apparently Frankie knew that they were poisonous because Bella had told them. So yeah, whether or not she did, I think she did do it, is sort of the sort of impression you're given. So yeah, it was Cora, not Jake, and Jake actually was alive. So there was like a thing with him, went back in the time, crashing his motorbike off the cliff. So that's why Bella thought he was dead, but then he wasn't actually dead. He was fine. And then he left his parents and everything because of everything. He ended up going off the rails a bit drug wise and everything. So yeah, it was really Frankie that killed Cora originally, and then the grandfather helped cover it up, and then Francesca got killed at the end. But basically she was like, because they had the party, and I think it was Michelle, so that was the front of house, who had put, I don't know what she'd put in there, like LSD or something into all of the cider, so all of the guests were like tripping and hallucinating and having sex and stuff. It all got a bit feral. So she did that. She told Francesca and everything. Owen was out to get her because when Owen called up and said, "Oh, I found a body of my mum," Francesca basically said, "Oh, Cora was your mum." So then he knew that she had either been involved or done it or something. So then he was out to get her. Michelle was out to get her because I don't actually know why Michelle, just I think more because of the local thing and how they were treated. Oh no, Michelle was the one that was sexually assaulted by her brother all the years ago. Everyone knew everyone in it, and that is one criticism that I have. I grew up in a village in Dorset, and all of the village kids would play together or know each other to some degree, and you recognise them. I mean, I left when I was like 17, and then it's been 15 years so I've been gone. If I go back and I like see people in the street, I recognise them. I'm like, oh, that was, might not know their name, but I definitely know that it's like, oh, that was one of the kids that used to live in the village, or that was someone we used to play with, or that was so and so's friend. But yeah, even the fact that like Owen, who was the husband slash architect and married Francesca, but they didn't know that he was like shrimp. I just struggled a bit with that because I think you would know. Too many people knew each other. And even then the detective that was solving the crime and everything was actually Jake. Turns out it was Jake, so Jake survived and went and became a copper. And then he was the one that sent the clippings to Owen to get him to like work on the architecture of the project, and he was the one that sent the clippings to Bella, even though Bella thought he was dead. And I thought that was a bit harsh. I was like, oh, you work in the police force, surely you deal with trauma and all of these things, and then you don't know how Bella's dealt with all of this trauma because you've never spoke to her, but you're going to send her clippings about the place that she used to go and the people she hung out with. I thought that was a little bit unhinged. But I guess it was to loop him in, and they wanted it right up till the end that you didn't know whether or not Jake was dead, or who was the person who turned out to be Cora, who was the body. So I thought that was all interesting. And then obviously at the end, it's the whole birds thing is kind of like, it is this group of villagers that do things. I think they were involved in scaring the grandfather, which ended up killing him because he said that he died of heart. So I think they'd scared him at his place, and they'd seen him. And then as Francesca was driving away, she'd drunk some of the cider, so she was a bit out of it or whatever. Eddie was then chasing her on the bike and then found, he had a costume, didn't he? He took it from underneath the stairs. at his house and put on the bird costume, and then was like felt alive with it or whatever, and chased after her and she ran off a cliff. And then at the end of it, his mum is like, I know you did it, and he thinks the murder basically kill her, and she's like, oh no, I know you took the costume. So then he's like, oh, so it was you that was one of the birds, and she's like, yeah. And then right at the end, you see Bella in the pub, and there's like a book club group, and it's Eddie's mum, the priest who you bump into, who Bella bumps into when she goes into town. Who else was it? The bar, I think the bar lady, and I think there's a couple of other ones. And they're all meeting for drinks. And then one of the guys at the bar is like, oh, it's full of old birds in here, isn't it? Which I did like that. I was like, oh, that like ties it all in together nicely. So no, it was good. It was all like pagan festival, the last bit, the festival that sort of descends into madness, was interesting, and it was like good imagery. I liked Francesca as a character. Like, she was really dislikable, but also like woo woo and like crystals and all of this. I think my only thing would be the fact that everyone knew each other. Well, all of you knew each other. You all grew up with each other, and not one of you recognised each other. I would recognise. I'm not particularly good with faces, and I didn't particularly hang out with kids, you know, but I just think you would have known. But I would say I would recommend reading it. I kind of love with a murder mystery / whodunit the fact that the person's murdered at the start, and I like trying to solve it as I'm going on, like, oh, what did he say? What was that? Like, oh, this was seen here, this person said that, to try and piece it together. So I think the way she does it, obviously you don't really even know who's murdered till the end. And I can't remember if the hunting party and the guest list, which I've read before, if they're like that, and I'm pretty sure they are, because I remember feeling that it was like, it was a bit less, what's the word, I kind of feel like it took something away from me. Not that I would have been able to solve it anyway, but I like to try. So yeah, but it was good, it was enjoyable. It was a good read. But what were your thoughts on it? Did anyone sort of guess that from the start that was all going to happen, and it was all going to sort of play out that way, that they were all of the kids that when they were younger? I'd like to know what your thoughts are on, like, maybe you all prefer this type of murder mystery done this way, that it's like the suspension throughout, you don't know who it's going to be. And it's kind of good, I guess, because if it is a weak murder mystery and you've guessed it, it's kind of like, meh, we guessed that ages ago. So yeah, anyway, it was still fun to do. And I'm thinking anyway, because obviously this is all in like the playroom, this back wall here is the wall I want to do bookshelves all along. So obviously we've got the ceiling to do, and then I'm going to do bookshelves, and we'll probably, where we've got the projector screen, we'll do like a pull down screen, so it's going to be floor to ceiling bookshelves, and I can actually get all of the books that I like having in all the series. It's all mainly like my genres, tends to be fantasy or murder mystery. At the minute I'm obviously reading everything in the house and just sort of going through them and decluttering. But is there any books that you think you would recommend to do this? I think it would be fun if we did get some anyway that like everyone's into, that we could read them, and then, you know, you could all put in your thoughts each, if we did say 100 pages, and then like the last bit. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. Do you agree? Do you not agree? Yeah, I'll see you guys again soon. Bye.